So welcome everybody. I am so glad to be here for our February 2022 live session. So the good thing for you all that are joining us live, if you need CEs, you do not have to take the exam or the test that is in the monthly program, because we can see that you're here from the Zoom records. So you don't have to take the test. For those of you who are listening to this on recording, do not fear. We always have your back for fully staffed. So we're going to give you the answers to the test questions. Is this not the best? Like, why didn't they do this in school, in college, right? But I'm going to give you the answers to the test questions that you have to take in order to get credit if you're watching this on record. So if you joined us live, you are welcome to throw questions into the chat, and I'll answer those for you. Our special guest this month is Tom Moon, and Tom is, you'll see, the coordinator of history and culture at In-N-Out Burger. Tom and I had set up to talk today, and then he had a conflict at work. So we actually talked a couple of days ago. I asked the question that was submitted in our Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, you are missing out. Get in the Facebook group because we share things in there, resources and so forth. If you hate Facebook, that's okay. You can join and be friends with nobody. And just, I do that. I have a lot of business groups, and I don't follow a lot of people on there. So you can just get on there and follow our group and be part of it, but you will get more out of this experience if you're in there. So, but Tom was not able to join us live. So we have a recorded live. That's very television-y, isn't it? To have a recorded live. But he loves helping us in senior living. So if there is anything that you need or want to ask after you watch the recording, it might pop some questions up for you. Just send them to me, post them in the Facebook group, and I can have him come on and answer them, or he'll answer them via email. He is fabulous. And we took a group of leaders out there, we being Steve Moran, who I mentioned earlier, myself, took a group of leaders that were a part of a group called Culture 2100. And Steve and I took a group out to In-N-Out Burger, and you'll hear a little bit about him referencing when you were out here. That's the trip that he's referencing, and just was an unbelievable experience for all of us when we were out there. So I'm going to pop on this video. It's my discussion with Tom Moon, asking him some questions about what makes In-N-Out so great. They have incredible outcomes. There's a ton that you can learn from this. As always, I'm going to encourage you to keep an open mind. You might be listening to some of this and be like, what does this have to do with us in fast food? They hire and employ mostly high schoolers, college students, a lot of part-timers. So their pool of employees in some ways is even tougher than the pool of employees that you have, getting them to be engaged and so forth. And yet they have these incredible outcomes. So I just want you to think about, it might not be exactly how to apply it in your organization, but how can you take that mindset? I always talk about the whack-a-mole game, like that pops up in the whack-a-mole game. This doesn't apply to me. I'm not in fast food. So whack that mole down and think about, how can I use this in my organization? I guarantee you, if you come to this with an open mind, you're going to come away with at least one or two things, and probably a lot more takeaways that you're like, I want to do that. I want to try that in my organization. So I'm going to pop that on. Again, any questions that pop up, throw them into the chat, and I'll be happy to answer those as we go along. So I'm going to do my share screen. Here we go. And by the way, if you want the definition of torture, is watching yourself on video for 45 minutes nonetheless. So if you're having a hard time with this, trust me, I'm having a million times harder a time doing this. So are live for the month of February. I have with me Tom Moon, who is History and Culture Coordinator at In-N-Out Burger, which, if you don't know, has a cult-like following. Is that acceptable to say, or is that a bad thing?
Sure, I think so. No, that's a good thing.
It's people wait in line for hours when they open up a new store to get a burger and to apply for a job. And anytime I go out to California, the line is goes
Here.
helping the folks that are joining us from senior living and healthcare create better cultures in their organization.
So when did you come out? Was it like 4 years ago?
Yeah. So 4 years ago, I took a group out to see Tom and In-N-Out University, which is where they do their training of new, I guess, managers, supervisors.
Entry level and all the way up to, we call them fourths, thirds, seconds, and then store managers. So they all come here.
Yeah, and it was such an incredible experience. And I tell everyone, this is now that I've gotten to know you a little bit, the perfect Tom story of we called up not knowing, we thought it was like Disney. We can call up and like, hey, we'll pay you money and come see. And I should back up and say the whole reason, I get excited when I talk to you. The whole reason that I brought a group out there 4 years ago and that I wanted to talk to you today was because In-N-Out has about a quarter of the turnover of other fast food restaurants. They don't have different employees. You shared with me that many are high school students and college students. Sure. And certainly that's as a mother of 20-year-olds, that is a tough group to work with. In addition to the quarter of the turnover, incredibly high ratings on Glassdoor. And I've done some stats I wrote down. Almost 3,000 people had shared feedback about working for In-N-Out, and 85% said they would recommend it as a place to work. 93% of people approve of the CEO. I mean, these numbers are just unbelievable. And even in 2022, you're on the best places to work list of any company. We're not just on fast food, we're saying any company out there. And so that's the reason that I find talking to you so interesting and finding out what you're doing so interesting. And so tell me a bit about how, if you kind of know, are there other outcomes that are sort of different from other fast food companies that you know of? I mean, that's enough of a list, but I don't know if there's anything else that stands out in your mind.
We came in 39th place on Glassdoor this last year, and the year before we were third place. So we kind of look at it like the last couple of years have been tough. Yeah. And I think for everybody. And so we kind of look at that as a challenge to get better. But we're the only restaurant last year in the top 100.
Wow.
So my brother works at Lawrence Livermore Lab. He says, we beat you this year. And I said, yeah, you guys did. And
did that make for a Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah. We're all competitive. So it was pretty funny. But
and I remember the one year that you had, when you were third, that somebody at Google, you said to them, we beat out Google. For placement. So that's just.
So yeah, we look at, we're proud of where we're at, but we look at it as a challenge too, because it's been a couple tough years for everybody, I think. Yeah. Trying to get through all the challenges. We are proud that we came in second place on Halo 100, which is Forbes does a customer experience type survey. And Costco was first place. We came in second place. Chick-fil-A was third place. Toyota was like sixth place. So we feel pretty honored to be on that because we try to make the customer experience good if we can.
Yeah, and some big names, and even from the size of your organization compared to some of those, that's going to make a difference too.
Yeah, we're just in 7 states, so all these other places. Costco's around the world, and Chick-fil-A I think has 2,600 outlets. We've got 376, so a little different.
Yeah. And you mentioned when I came out there 4 years ago, and so to back up for a moment, we called up there and said, we want to come for a visit, and you don't do that. it's not something, you're a privately owned company, and it's not that you've got people tracing in and out all the time. And your focus is really on what it should be, your employees and your customers. And we so appreciated that. But when I told you what we were doing, it was with open arms that you welcomed our group. And I'm so appreciative because Tom was like, yeah, we don't do that, but oh, really? Yeah, come on in. And so here we are doing something that, they never do, and inconveniencing you. And we come in, it was just, all the swag you gave us, and I don't have my hat and my name tags and everything else, and food, of course, and so forth, and just treated us like royalty. And we were so of that. And I actually posted in our Facebook group some of the pictures of the original store replica
that we
went to, and the ring and so forth. So, so when I was out there though for that visit, you had said cultures are built and guarded by leaders and what you allow. So will you tell me a little bit about what that statement means to you, and especially, I guess, after these last couple of years?
Yeah. So culture, we have a really interesting culture, but the original owners started in 1948, Harry and Esther. And then they had two boys, and Guy and Rich. So Rich ran the company from 76 to 93, died in a plane crash. And then Lindsay's dad, Guy, ran it until 99 and passed away. So Lindsay was only 17 when her dad passed away. And she's the only granddaughter. So she's running the whole company. And fortunately, she wanted to run it. So, I've got two kids. They're really different. And my son's got 4 kids. My daughter has 4, and they're all really different. So everybody's got different strengths and weaknesses. And so we're a combination of all that. But culture comes from the Latin word cultus, which means care. So we want to be a caring culture. And Lindsay does a great job on that. But culture is just a bunch of intangibles. They're created and guarded by the leader. So it's a combination of what we create, but also what you allow. So you can allow stuff in that are not helpful for your organization. And the number one thing that shapes culture is values. So if you determine what your values are and measure that against what you allow, some things won't be allowed in. We're customer focused. We're relentless on quality. We treat our people like family. We're into constant, never-ending improvement. So we don't get caught up in our own headlines. We're just trying to get a little bit better every day. So when you measure that against what your values are, then the right culture, it corrects poor behavior, and it weeds out people that really don't fit into your culture. But it also empowers the right people to do good things. So
that is so true. I have found that in my work when I was a nursing home administrator. The culture we had was so, and I thankfully inherited a great culture, and just my job then was to protect it, like you said.
Yeah, sure.
And guard it. But it always struck me how much it wasn't necessarily work I always had to be doing, but just the norms were so different than some other organizations that I had walked into. The norms there were, we treat each other respectfully, we really with love, people treated each other, and that was the positivity was the norm.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've got certain departments that are really embrace that, like our butchers. The average turnover is like 50%. And at the butcher place shop in Baldwin Park, there's probably 130 butchers that work there. And we haven't lost any butcher in 5 years or in 15 years. So most butcher shops, there's a 50% turnover, and we've had a couple guys retire, but we haven't fired, or nobody's quit in 15 years.
Wow.
And it's not because they get paid well, but if you get paid well and you don't like it, money is not worth it. Yep. So these guys, they do life together. They care about each other, and they're like family. So it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah. And, it's funny because I think on the surface, so many people know that, the money is not the driving factor. And yet constantly I hear from people, we raised especially now, right? People have raised rates
right.
$1 an hour, $2 an hour, $4 an hour. And then they're annoyed that people are still leaving. And so it's like they know it but the rational part of their brain is going towards money again. Like, why aren't they staying? They're ungrateful and so forth.
Right.
And it's really that culture.
Yeah.
So our topic this month is teamwork. And you told me that most people there are part-timers, like I said, high school, college students. So what do you do to foster stronger teamwork between people who might be together only a limited amount of time?
Yeah. Well, the environment we have, is fun, and it feels kind of like a sports team. So if you're, if you ever played sports, it kind of feels like that. Everybody works hard and you work together, and hard work is part of it. And it's just kind of that. We do have picnics. We have Christmas parties for kids. They're amazing. We do a lot of sporting events. In-N-Out people are really competitive. And so we've got softball, we've got soccer. Lindsay likes soccer, so we brought soccer in. We've got bowling. So I remember we were up in Santa Barbara. We're at a managers conference, and they do these games like human foosball and different things. And these people come in. These people come in and put on these games. And one's a tricycle race, and they're taking out people around corners. And he goes, "I have never seen anybody as competitive as you guys." I go, we're just super competitive. So we have fun, but the picnics are amazing, and really, really blessed.
So it's interesting, that sense of fun and yet competition, because even with the glass door thing, when you were saying like that competition piece, and I hadn't really thought about it before, but it's true. Like, if you want people that are going to keep on striving to be better, those people are naturally going to be wired to be competitive.
Sure. So we start our people at higher than minimum wage, but we also there's a level thing, so they can as they get better in their skills, their pay moves up quite a bit. So that's part of it too. So training's a big thing. If you think back on people that really made a difference in your life, they cared about you and they trained you, and that comes across as really caring. So so that's built into the manager's bonus. Our managers get paid really well, but part of the bonus is they have to hit a certain training level. And if somebody's been there for a certain period of time, we figure out what they should move up to, and they either get bonused or they get their pay taken away from if they're not measuring up on the training levels.
So when you say train, I keep on muting myself because I'm choking on something. I'm not quite sure, but not your fault. The training level for themselves or for their team?
For themselves, yeah. So there's different levels. They start out at level 1 and could go all the way up to level 7. And you start out taking care of the customers, doing the dining room. You take orders. You work French fries. You work salad table. You cook. So all those have a pay raise attached to it. And we want our managers train their people, because if people are moving up and making more money and skills are getting better, it seems they seem to want to stay, and we want to keep as many as we can. So your managers are rated on how many people they're moving up onto those different levels. So they're given different time levels that they should move somebody up, but it's pretty conservative. So we definitely want to focus in. But the people that I look back on that I really look up to are people that spent time and trained me. Yeah. So it's a really caring type of thing when you train right. Yeah. Awesome. So you're known for taking great care of the team members there. Things like vacation time for part-timers, meals, no matter how many hours that you've worked. What are some other ways that you show people that you care? You've mentioned training, and I know that's a huge part. That's one of your values, right? What is it? Training. Yeah. Training is our future, right? Yeah, definitely is. Yeah, good memory. Yeah. I had the sign in my office. Training is our future. So you can solve a lot of problems with good training for sure. Yeah. But, they've got other things. Somebody can go full time, get into management if they want. We've got jobs. We've got most of the jobs that are out there. We've got a lot of different jobs. They just started a college program for kids that are in college that they hit certain criteria and they get reimbursed on money and stuff. So I think most, similar stuff that a lot of companies have out there. We try to be competitive in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one of our charities caters to a lot to. We've actually got three different charities that we do. Lindsay started one called the Slave to Nothing, which in October is for substance abuse, and in January it's for the human trafficking. And then we've got one in April. We raise money, so we do can drives, and we triple the money that comes in. And in April, it's for child abuse, so mainly foster kids. So they started a program too. If somebody wants to adopt a foster kid, that they'll help out on that too.
Wow.
So yeah, some cool stuff.
And so when you think about sort of the things that you do for your employees, why does In-N-Out invest in these? And even the training? I mean, I was blown away. One of the things that really struck me when I was there, and it's so second nature to you, because you've been with In-N-Out for how many years?
So I've been back for 31. So I started, and I'm a boomerang. I left and came back. So, but I've been back for 31. So it's kind of neat. At 20, you get a ring, and with a ruby, and at 25, you get a diamond in the center, and then at 30 years, you get a ring with 4 diamonds in the center.
Wow.
So it's got my name, and the year I came back was 91. So yeah, it's kind of neat. And you've got a lot of people within and out that have been around we've had 7 associates that have over 50 years that retired.
Wow.
So that's
50 years.
Yeah.
So I was, and so I think it's sort of like, I think it's how you do things. So it doesn't even strike you, but it really was like, wow, to me, when you told us about the amount of leadership, education and development that people get when they come to In-N-Out. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And specifically, I'm thinking about when it was like the 3 days at In-N-Out University, and they go back to the store for some
time,
come back again, and so they practice and come back and so forth. You can tell us a little bit about that, because that was really eye-opening to me, because even the top leaders usually in healthcare, like once you're out of college, that's it for got some leadership stuff in college. You're not usually doing a lot of leadership development work.
The entry level managers, they come in for 2 weeks. So we have different training centers. So we have one in Texas, in Arizona, in Northern California, and here. And they come in for 2 weeks. The third managers that you were talking about, so they come in for 3 days or 4 days, and then go back to the store for a week to kind of implement some of that stuff, and then come back for another 3 or 4 days to kind of regroup. And so by the time you get to that level, you've got a number of shifts under your belt, and you're able to, at entry level, you're just kind of overwhelmed by stuff because everything's so new. But once you've been a third manager for a while, you've worked a lot of different shifts, and you're able to really put stuff into practice right away. So those are kind of fun. And second manager, they come for a week, and then we have advanced second managers that are ready to be store managers, and then store managers come. We just started different classes too, like on servant leadership and different things that are electives that store managers can do too. So finance stuff and different things.
Oh, that's neat. So even some of those skills that people need in those roles. Will you define for us a bit of what's the store manager compared to second, compared to third, and so forth, for people who might not be familiar with those terms? I think I asked you about 100 questions on the street as we were walking to the original
I got it.
store replica about what that means. But it was interesting to me to hear what those different levels are, so we can kind of equate it to healthcare or senior.
Yeah, sure. So a store manager actually operates a store, so they're responsible for running a store. A second manager works the opposite shift from the store manager, so they're pretty seasoned and could run probably a store, and they're pretty good. The third managers, they run shifts as well, and they're up from the entry level manager that is fourth manager. So those are brand new. So after you're a fourth manager for a while, you get promoted to a third manager, and then but our managers make good money. They split profit with the company, so they make really good money. And that started way back when Harry started that, and would give out bonuses based on how the stores did, and so that's continued. And the manager they decide what bonus the second manager and third and fourth manager get to. And if you're smart, you bonus your cleanup people, because those are tough jobs and usually unappreciated, and so you want to make sure they feel appreciated. And I had a good cleanup person always, and I bonus them well because they set you up for success. So
yeah. And that's your decision as the store manager.
Store manager, can add on additional people. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, if you had 15 minutes a day to improve teamwork in an area that you were working in, what would you do? How would you spend that 15 minutes? So you have 15 minutes a day to improve, the teamwork in this certain department or area. What would you do?
Yeah, I think I would, I'd work on relationships. I think those are important, but, I'd work on, your culture and values and stuff too. So small improvements is a big thing. I know, the Japanese economic miracle was a guy named Edward Deming went over there in 1950, and he met with the JUSE, that was the Japanese Union of Scientists and Engineers. And Marita from Sony was in that original meeting. A guy named, I think, Taichi Ono from Toyota. He's known as the father of the production line of Toyota. He was in that original meeting, like 85% of the leaders in industry. And Duran came in 4 years later, but those two kind of responsible for the Japanese economic miracle. And Deming in particular said to them, if you go after quality in the long run is cheaper, but if you go after improvement on a small level, in 20 years, you'll own markets. So in Japan, they have a thing called Kaizen, which is small improvements. A lot of people live by that. And, in America, they just kind of lost their way for a while, because after World War II, we're doing fine. We're running extra shifts, and the quality kind of went south. And then Deming was hired by Ford years later, and the quality is job one. That came from Deming, and then they kind of they re-got the market and stuff. But John Wooden has a quote that I like. He said, "When you improve a little each day, eventually big changes occur."
Yeah.
So don't look for the quick big change. Seek small improvement, one day at a time, because it's the only thing it's the only way it happens, and when it happens, it lasts. Yeah. So small improvement is really important, and we've done that for years. So if you can get everybody involved in it, small becomes big when everybody plays. But I think relationships are super important. So just getting to know people, just asking simple questions and stuff, and people love to talk about themselves, so it's very easy to do. But if you do it on an organized basis, you're going to learn a lot about people, and it's fun too, getting to know people better.
Yeah. It was always my favorite part of the day when I would, take the time to do that. And it's so true what you say about the small improvements, because I think that people sort of, especially, in this staffing crisis that we're having, people are looking for this magic pill, and it's not immediate. And while they need immediate relief, it's sort of some of the things that they're doing are actually driving people out. So there's people in organizations that say things like they only care about the new people now, and they don't care about us, and so they leave, and so now they have a need for more new people. And so a sense of, I always tell people, practice not perfection. You can do anything for 5 minutes, just do something for 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you want to call, but those small steps add up over time, and that these big flashes of doing things, like my favorite is the raffling of cars. People are very big on, I raffled a car, and that's going to solve all their staffing issues.
Right.
And then are upset when it's really done not much.
No,
so
sure.
The relationships are so much more important in spending those. So you're fine.
And then it's important catching people doing stuff right. We're good at catching people doing stuff wrong, but catching people doing stuff right is magical too. People like to, be caught doing things right. I had the small stuff even works on. I've got my boss, John Davis. He came to me one time and he says, "Hey, you want to know my personal development plan?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really curious." He said, "I read 5 pages a day."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Well, that's it." I go, "That's your big plan, 5 pages a day." And he says, but it's every day. I don't miss.
Yeah.
So you take 5 times 365, you get a big number divided by 250. That's over the average book. That's 7 books a year on 5 pages a day. I go, what?
Yeah.
So he says, yeah, you do something small over a long period of time, and it's big stuff. Imagine all the stuff you could get from 7 books, the ideas you could get from that.
Yeah.
I said, wow.
Yeah.
So that small works.
I was just talking to somebody about the book, The Miracle Morning, and one of the things in there is reading. And so I said, I have to get back to it. I was doing it and then I got out of doing it, but it was 10, you could do it for a minute or 10 minutes, but it was reading every day. And same thing, I was whipping through books and and some of these books I had been just sitting on my shelf forever, and I was like, I'm picking that one. And and so I picked books too that are like finance books and stuff that I bought that I was like, I really don't want to read that. And so I started trying to pick the books that I probably should read but didn't want to read. And but it was amazing to see, yes, how much I learned and how quickly that I would get through them in that 10 minutes. So I love that, those small steps, the building relationships, which is going to help build that team, because you're going to know more about them and they will learn more about each other.
Yeah, I remember reading in How Full Is Your Bucket book, really good book. And there's a guy named John Gottman that did some pioneering research on marriage. And he came on, he could talk to somebody for 15 minutes and figure out with 93% accuracy who'd be divorced in 10 years. Wow. Just by talking for him for 15 minutes. And one of the things he discovered, if there was 1-to-1, 1 compliment and 1 negative, he said it was going to be a divorce. If it was 5-to-1, be okay. Yeah. So and I think in the business it's probably less, but I think we do a lot of one-on-ones, or maybe we don't even do one-on-ones. But if we were to do like a 3-to-1, 3 positives over 1 negative, I think it'd make a difference in a marriage, because you can hurt somebody so bad because you know each other so well. I think it takes 5 compliments to offset 1 negative. But but I think in business, the 3-to-1 ratio is probably good. So catching people doing stuff right instead of wrong would be good. You can't let the negative go by, right? You've got to address it. But if you've got balance on that, I think people listen to you more. Yeah.
And they do. That's what I would say. They listen to you because it feels like it's delivered with caring about them rather than just, judgment. You're always doing something wrong. Early on, when I was an administrator, I had a nursing assistant say to me, Denise, all you ever do is see the bad. And I could tell you exactly where I was standing. I mean, it was burned in my memory, her saying that to me. And my being so, just taken back, because I thought, I'm a hugger, asking about your kids, all this other stuff. But then I went back to my own, and I got mad. My first response was I got mad. And I mean, internally, I didn't yell at her. But I thought, like, how could she say that? And then I went, it's true. I walk around and, in the healthcare setting, I'm looking for doors that are unlocked that should be locked, and things that are dirty that shouldn't be dirty. Well, it's probably the same in your world too. Things that should be dirty and so forth. And I thought, my gosh, you know what? She's right. And I went back and I said something to her about it, but it really made me be cognizant of going out and being intentional when I walked around about the positive, like look for all the positive. And then if there's something that needs to be said about something else, say it, but the focus be out. Don't look for what's going wrong. Go out, look at what's for the right, because there's lots going right, a lot more than what's going wrong, for sure.
Yeah, I remember being a divisional manager. I was at a store for about 3 hours, and I told the second, I said, I've been here for 3 hours. I haven't heard 1 compliment. And he says, I don't see it. I said, well, you have to see it. It's all around you. And I said, but you can create it too. Like in our stores, you have cleanup people in the dining room, or you have food prep people. And those are probably the most underappreciated people, because, you're looking for areas that they're, especially in the cleanup, in areas that they're messing up on. And, so I said on the food prep, they show up on time. They got great attitudes. They're helping your store on food costs and stuff. And how often do you say thank you for, And I said, you can thank them for showing up with a great attitude on time. You don't worry about them and stuff. And they show up with a great attitude and they leave and nobody says anything. So before you go, I want to hear you, give one of those people a compliment, or your person that did your dining room today looked great. You can tell them it looked great. They had a girl second that second manager that came to class here, and she, we have a thing called lockdown. So you go in the store and everybody's got to be inside. You lock it down because you're counting safe. You don't want anybody, being access to the store when you're counting safe. And so most managers just go in and they count the safe. They come out and then they look for areas. We call it $2 tour on things that need to be cleaned. And so she comes in and she says lockdown, and then walks over to the pop area and asks, "Hey Joe, come here. Did you clean this?" And he said, "Well, I cleaned it." So it's the best I've seen in a while. Nice job. And then goes in the office. Now that took like 2 seconds. It didn't take that long.
Yeah.
And then she comes out and says, "Hey, I need you to do this and this." They're more apt to look at it positive than if that's the first thing they get hit with.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and that's in all jobs. I mean, in the healthcare, focus on cleaning and stuff, and some people do it really well. And if you compliment that, I think they're looking for it. Next time you're there. So.
Yeah, and then it's not this fear when you say I need to
right, exactly.
something, and they see you coming down the hall and they run
Right.
Because of that. I was going to make you do a definition of the word pop as well, like the third manager definition, but I figured it out.
Yeah.
I'm a soda person.
Yeah, soda person. Yeah.
So we had a question from one of the people that is part of this fully staffed program, and she asked, stated, I guess, and then has a question at the end. I have one location where the staff just don't want to engage with the rest of the company or do the holiday and summer parties. We're always trying to say we're 5 houses. They're a company that has small homes where people live. So we're 5 houses, 1 company, but it seems like it's always this one location that doesn't want to engage with the rest. They don't help out at other houses or like it when others help out at their house. How can I get them off their island that they have created?
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a leader or two that's just not engaged with the culture they want to have. So, I think sometimes you got to have a meeting on kind of, get everybody together, and this is our values and stuff, and this is what we need to do. And, maybe they're in the wrong seat on the bus or in the wrong company too. I mean, that could be too. I know there's a thing called dehiring that there's a book called Great Employees Only, that there's a dehiring process that I think is a kind way to go, instead of doing a bunch of write-ups and when the person leaves or whatever, they're upset with the organization. You can do it kindly. It might not be that they're part of it. And there's different questions and stuff that you can go through on it, but I don't know.
And you sent me that resource, so I will drop that link to the resource for dehiring, so people can reference it. But the thought behind it is it sort of comes from this point of caring about this person, rather not just, well, you can't get your team to come to our parties and help out other houses, you're gone, but to go through this series of questions, which kind of gets to the heart of, is this person doing what
I think so? Yeah. And, one is, are you happy here? And what are you passionate about? And does this job do that for you? And if the answer is yes, probably wouldn't be asking that. And how can we make changes that can, make you feel better? And sometimes just subtle changes make a huge difference. I know I was reading in a book called The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle, really good book. And they had at Bank of America, they had a series of calls, where they'd call customers and stuff, and they had turnover and stuff, and they decided to do their breaks with everybody together, and all of a sudden the productivity went up, and just did different things like put in new coffee machines that were better, but where there was a bunch of people around that were able to spend time together, that made the job more fun. But let's see, what would you rather be doing? Maybe they'd rather do something else in the organization. How can I help you move in that direction, or maybe someplace else? And then it gets down to it. If I know it hasn't been going well, but let's change that. Here's what it takes to be a star performer, and I think you can achieve these goals. And do so in 3 months. Do you agree? And then you just monitor that. So it could be that they just need some help training, or maybe they're some people are on the wrong seat in the bus, or maybe with the wrong company, and maybe they'd be happier someplace else. But I think if the values are we're family and we treat people like family, we want to be like family. You can't leave that alone and just let them isolate.
Yeah. That was my sense too when I read this. Is it's most likely a leadership issue. That it's not necessarily the team that doesn't want to interact with others, but there's probably something happening from that leadership level of them setting that tone, as opposed to the tone of, like you said, we're family, we support each other. If somebody needs help in another house, when we have a party, we come together for it, and so forth. And I really loved, and once again, we'll drop that resource for you into the resources for this month. But I loved that dehiring resource, because the questions are just, it's high accountability, but it's also a really kind of high sense of caring and compassion for the person too, and asking the questions about, what are you passionate about? What do you want to be doing? And, is this doing that for you? Really shows that you care, rather than just, here's the rules and you must have, 75% of your people show up at every picnic.
Right.
Yeah, which some people might do, and will get you a very different response for sure. So what advice would you give, and this could be sort of anything, what advice would you give to somebody who's committed anybody that's listening to this is someone that's a go-getter, and someone who's interested in developing themselves. So they're committed people, but someone who's committed, dedicated, and a leader in healthcare, senior living. What advice would you give them as a leader?
Yeah, that's a tough profession. And my mom was a nurse and my uncle was a doctor, and that takes a special person to be in that. And I just just really, it'd be kind of fun to get my dad's 97.
Oh, wow.
And he tells the same story over and over again. I've heard some stories, but he's a World War II vet, and he's a really interesting guy. And sometimes it'd be fun just to talk to the, patients and let them feel appreciated and like they're special and stuff. And, but definitely building relationships and then self-improvement is really important. But
so even with the residents and residents and patients too, that relationship building, and it's true, because it's so bucket filling for most people. When we measure culture, when we go into organizations and measure culture, most people have on their list of personal values compassion and caring. It's always,
yeah, you bet.
And then to not allow people, or not even allow, but encourage it, for people to interact with residents in a real meaningful way, or even do it yourself.
Sure.
Sort of when we most often lose our way of, like, why am I doing this? Like, when times get tough, it's a lot easier to think about, why am I doing this? It's a lot easier to recognize why you're doing it when you have that connection with the people that you're serving, basically.
Yeah, I think so. And it's good for them, and they're interesting too sometimes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
My dad told me what it's like when he heard that Pearl Harbor got bombed. There's not too many people alive that were around when that happened. So he was 17 years old, just playing badminton outside. And his mom calls out the window, and they go in and listen on the radio and stuff. And so there's a lot of these people have a lot of history and stuff, and they're fun to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that sense of and that also goes back to tying really to the mission of the organization. In some way, I'm sure the purpose of whatever that mission statement says, I'm sure that purpose of that organization is something about serving others. So having the ability to do that is really neat. Yeah. What advice do you think leaders should avoid? If you had to say, what's something they should avoid? What should they not be doing?
Right. I think they should have fun. I think we've lost the fun part. Sometimes people are just a bit too serious. So maybe not get so serious over stuff. And, I know the last 2 years have been brutal. It's just been difficult with all the restrictions and stuff. And it's maybe time to reconnect with people and just not be so serious, I think.
Yeah. I love that sense of that fun. So that the advice they should avoid, I guess, is being too serious. Or
I think so. Yeah.
Anything, anything too serious. And it's true. I think, now more than ever, people are at their, everyone's just kind of had their fuse is short,
Yeah, short, yeah.
You just see it in the world, and certainly in healthcare. And I have a friend who's a nurse, and she just said, I feel like I'm a shell of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, so that sense of, just the work needs to get done, and yes, there needs to be accountability, but also how do we think about this sense of fun and love and compassion, and real connection between people, which is going to keep them going.
Yeah.
Anything I didn't ask that you'd love to share with me or with the group?
I don't know. I just really feel fortunate to be able to share about love this company and love what we stand for. And we've got great people. We do a lot of great things, all because we make a great burger. So it's just kind of fun. We opened up in Texas, and the lines were 200 cars. And so I showed when we opened up in Colorado, I showed videos of some of the lines of a guy just taking a camera and driving down the lane, and then I said, just be ready. You guys are going to be busy. And then I'm leaving thinking, gosh, I hope they have at least 200 cars. Well, it was in when COVID was going pretty strong. And fortunately, we have, thank God, we have drive-through, right? Because a lot of restaurants really suffered. But we had 500 and 600 cars in line. We opened 2 restaurants on the same day, and the waits were just huge. And and it just blew up our traffic plans and stuff. And so but people are so excited to have us there. A lot of Southern California transplants. A lot of people have heard about us, and they say, well, we got nothing else to do. We'll wait in line. That's fine. So wait in line.
Do you have people that spend the night?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They get a burger coin and a T-shirt if they're first in line. So you've got some people that just
highly competitive.
Yeah, it's funny. We feel blessed to have really good customers over time.
Yeah.
Really passionate customers. Yeah.
And it all comes back to the people that you have working there. I mean, that's why you come back. You go into, if you've not been to an In-N-Out and you have the opportunity to go either in your area or when you're visiting someplace, go, because it just, when you walk in, like I'll sometimes do the drive-through, or I'll go in, and just sort of the vibe, but even the sense that you get from the person who's waiting on you in the car, because someone comes up to your car and takes your order. At least the ones I've been to, they've got
the little handheld thing.
Yes, and they have the handheld thing, and they take the order. But even just how they greet you and that whole experience is just, so over the top compared to what you're used to if you go to a drive-through. So it's worth experiencing and seeing why this quote unquote cult-like following, and it's well deserved.
Yeah, it's small stuff too. Like we're saying please when asking for money, and we're saying thank you when handing out the order. And people can use their own personality, but those have to be there. So we've got certain absolutes that, it's a lot of emphasis on small stuff. Yeah.
So absolutes that I can make my own, but this has to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you say that'll be $10.50, that, or if you say that'll be $10.50, please. I mean, that just sounds better.
Yeah.
Or have a nice day, or thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Sounds better.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, Tom, for your time and your commitment to helping us. I greatly appreciate it. And I know so many people get so much out of our conversation today.
Oh, cool.
I appreciate you. And I appreciate all the resources that you sent. I've been posting the videos that you sent me in our Facebook group. So if you're not in our Facebook group, go ahead and get in there. And the videos are posted in there. And also the resources will be on in the resources. The resources that Tom sent will be in our folder of resources for our employee engagement topic this month. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Denise. I hope you can bring a group down again. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll make that happen.
Perfect.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So I love the fact that he invited us back to come. It was a really neat experience, and I just think made even more special that they don't do it. They don't let outsiders in, but he was really committed to helping us in senior living and in healthcare. So I think that's super neat. So if you have any questions, we have a few minutes that I have another question that was submitted by somebody that I want to share and I want to go over. But if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. We did get a few during the session, and I just want to share those, which was Terry had asked, what's the average time frame for an employee to get through those 7 levels of training? And I didn't ask him that, obviously, in the interview, but I will via email. And I'll post it back in the Facebook group and let you know what those levels are for people that to kind of work through. I thought it was so neat that the managers and supervisors, though, are held accountable for people to move through those positions. So I just thought that was really neat. And then Denny asked where are they located? And it's mostly West Coast. They're in Texas and Colorado now, but I think he said 13 states, I believe, but they're not on the East Coast. I had asked him when I was out there a few years ago about their growth. And he said it's very, very controlled because they don't want to lose quality. And I know some of you can relate to that have either built on new campuses or maybe perhaps merged with other organizations. That's very thorough and well thought out before you're making those moves. And so they really don't want quality to suffer, which is why they've kept their kind of footprint very small, and their quality is number one, is one of their values. So that training is our future is one of their values, but quality is number one, is one of their values. And they, in fact, this is before all the supply chain stuff happened, but there was some kind of recall of like hamburger buns or something that they use, and other fast food places stayed opened and used other products and so forth, and they actually closed their stores down for 2 full days when they had this problem with their product, to show their commitment to quality is number one. So any questions, throw them into the chat or into the Q&A box there. Either one of those works. But we had another question that somebody asked, which was, how do we convince buy-in from our current staff who either don't understand or aren't invested in changing the culture to retain quality talent? So get by the chat box and just tell me if you can relate to this, the rest of this question. So get by the chat box, tell me if you can relate to this. So how do we convince buy-in from our current staff who either don't understand or aren't invested in changing the current culture to retain quality talent? We have many enthusiastic people, but they wouldn't necessarily understand the structured approach towards our practices. Can some of y'all relate to that? Jesse, yes, Jesse, training. That's my answer, Jesse, in a nutshell. So, Jesse, you're welcome to teach next month if you'd like. Now, I love it. I love that you said it, Jesse. Training. So here's the questions I have for this person. Have you measured your culture yet? So if you've used our culture values assessment that Drive has, you know how your people are wired, you know what your current culture is, and you know what the desired culture is. That's the magic. And so if you are trying to create culture change, and I don't say this in any judgment, I say this in love, and I know so many of us do this, that if we are trying to create culture change by focusing on things that are actually not important to people, it's going to feel very forced. They're not going to buy in, and they're not going to be supportive of it. And it's going to fall apart really quickly. I see this all the time. I did it when I was a leader, right? I was trying my best. I was doing my best, wasn't doing maliciously. I love that this person asked this question because they care enough. They're trying to do things and they're saying, how do we get more buy-in? So this person that asked this question, God bless them, right? For trying new things, for asking the question, for being part of Fully Staffed. Obviously, they are all in, which is awesome. So the next thing to get the staff all in as well is to make sure that they can connect to what those changes they want to make. So if you haven't done a culture assessment, it's kind of hard because you're starting with, you're guessing, right? You're guessing at these things. But if you haven't done a culture assessment, which will give you the data, you can go in our, in Fully Staffed, you have the recruitment course. And in that recruitment course, there's some focus group questions. So use those focus group questions, find out what's making people tick. Why do they love working for you? You don't want to change that stuff too much. You want to do more of it. Find out what makes them proud to work there. By the way, it also helps you recruitment to know these things. And also ask the opposite. What would make it better to work here? I love the magic wand question. If you had a magic wand, or if you were a CEO or owner for the day, what would you change? And so you're going to find out that information. And now you're going to have some clues. The changes that you're making, connect them to what people want. If you've done a culture assessment, you have those desired culture values. You know what you need to prioritize. It's very easy when you've done the culture assessment. So you know what you need to prioritize. If you have not done the culture assessment, or if you've done it and you've done the focus groups, both, or if not, just the focus groups, you have what people want. Use that data. So now you're making changes connected to what they want. That's how you get buy-in. So for example, if people are telling me we want more teamwork, and one of the things that I'm kind of struggling, and I'm reading between the lines here, this sense of changing the culture to retain quality talent, that they might be pushing people out. I know some of you, I know Billy, right? She's awesome. Don't you think, Billy, that Jesse should be teaching next month? Jesse, come on now. But if you struggle with this, and I know so many of you do, so I'm guessing all of you could raise your hand to this or say yes to this. If you are hiring people, it's so hard to hire people and you're losing them quickly, find a way to connect what you want from your current staff, your long-term staff, to how they're treating the new staff, right? So let's say it's teamwork. Hey, you know what? You told me, and let's say this is my team right here, right? Chris, Elizabeth, and Hildy. Hi, Hildy. And Jason. We'll put Jason in the group too, right? That's my team right now. I'm going to say to Billy, Chris, Elizabeth, Hildy, and Hilda, and Jason, you know what, guys? You told me that teamwork was important to you. And you can either say in the assessment that you answered, the culture assessment did, or in the focus groups, you told me that teamwork's important to you. What does teamwork mean to you? And I'm going to hear from them what teamwork means to them, right? I'm going to find out. It's people having my back. All right, that makes sense. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how would you know someone has your back? So Elizabeth, tell me, how do you know someone's got your back? What behaviors do you see from them? And Elizabeth is going to tell me things like, you know what, when I need some help, somebody gives it to me. And I'm going to ask Jason, what does teamwork mean to you? And by the way, you can do this in small groups. If you don't feel prepared to do that, because sometimes it's hard. I facilitate these groups, but I do this for a living. Have one-on-one conversations and ask that question. What does it mean to have that, someone has your back, right? So outcome is teamwork, because people told you that's what they want. Connect it to make sure you say, you told us you want whatever it is. Teamwork, accountability, positivity, whatever that word is. How would you know if we had that? What would you have to see? And then they're going to give you some list of behaviors. And then you're going to talk about what are some of the things we can do. Oh, somebody has your back. Okay. What does that mean? Oh, well, you know what? We're checking in with each other 2 hours into the shift to see who needs some extra help today. Or you know what? When I'm done with my assignment, I'm asking somebody else what I can do, whatever it might be. And then we're going to, for this one, for new employees, maybe we can think about that. What would that mean for the sorry, I'm trying to read Chris's chat, Billy's chat here, and getting thrown off. But what would it mean to a new employee, right? How can we show new employees that we have their back? Or how can we show new employees that we're positive around here? Let them create those behaviors. Pick a couple of them. Don't go for a list of 50 things, okay? Please don't do that. You heard him say, start small. You're going to hear it again from me. Always start small. Oh my gosh, smiling. Smiling makes us look positive. That was one of the behaviors. All right, let's just start small. Let's make sure we're smiling. And guess what? I'm going to ask Billy, Chris, Elizabeth, and Hilda, and Jason to make sure that we're smiling at each other. And is it okay if I remind you guys if you're not smiling, or can you remind me if I'm not smiling? Because that makes us feel like it's positive around here, right? That small of a behavior, because it's kind of like, he's got his faults, but Rudy Giuliani, when he was in the mayor of New York City, right? He got rid of the guys that squeegeed your windows. If some of you remember that, visited New York City, and they would spray your windows and wash your windows and then want a tip. He was like, get rid of the squeegee guys. And that started this movement to get rid of the higher crime. But they started with small things, people beeping their horns like crazy, right? Like blocking the intersections. They started with these small kind of annoyances to get the big stuff. So you are looking for the small. So if somebody is not buying into your culture, find out. That's your job as a leader. It's not their fault. And I love you. So I'm not saying this in judgment. I love all of you because you are the creme de la creme of leaders being here and fully staffed. You are the creme de la creme of leaders. But find out what you as a leader can do. Find out. One thing, do not boil the ocean with this. You've done a culture assessment. You know what your number one priority is on your culture assessment because you've measured it. Go after it. Accountability. Talk to people. What's accountability, right? Tell me, Jesse, Jennifer, Kimberly, what's accountability mean to you? Okay. Oh, we know what each other is working on. How can we know what each other are working on so we can help? Oh, we can talk about it in our weekly meeting. Awesome. Start with that with your leadership team then. And how are we going to talk about it? Oh, we're going to take 5 minutes in our weekly meeting to talk about this instead of complaining. We're going to talk about what each of us is focusing on. Awesome. And if we're not focusing on that or we're getting away from it, how can we hold each other accountable? What can we do, right? We're agreeing on those behaviors. One behavior, don't boil the ocean. Make it the smallest, littlest thing. We're going to focus on appreciation as a team. You know what? Every weekly meeting before we leave, let's all write a thank you note. That's going to be our accountability. We're going to write a thank you note. That's it. One thank you note. Because what you're going to notice is that's going to spread. You're going to start seeing more of the good. Do not boil the ocean. Start with one small thing. So let me just go out to this. Billy, Jesse, thank you so much for that. Thank you for being here. I like the idea of one-on-one meetups. Getting focused tonight has been a scary idea. If it is scary, do not do it. Okay? Don't do anything, right? This is like the opposite of the gym. No pain, no gain, like a little bit, right? It might feel a little uncomfortable because it should. You're trying new things. If it's scary, don't do it. 5 minutes over coffee, right? I got this gift I'm giving to my girlfriend who loves Jerry Garcia. It says, what a long, strange trip it's been. Love, Jerry. She's coming to visit me in Key West this weekend. So you're going to, right, over coffee. Hey, Kimberly, you know what? And teamwork came up in that. Remember that culture survey we did? Yeah, teamwork came up as the number one thing. But I'm going to tell you what teamwork means to me, but first tell me what it means to you, right? 5-minute conversation. That's all you need. Don't do stuff that's scary. How would we capture it? Take notes. If you're in one-on-one conversation, you might not want to be typing. Write it down in a journal, right? So sometimes when I'm talking to someone, I don't want to be so formal in front of a computer. I just take notes. You can write on a napkin for all I care. Write on your hand for all I care. The more you have those conversations, Billy, the more themes you're going to see. You're going to talk to Kimberly, you're going to talk to Jennifer, you're going to talk to Elizabeth, and you're going to be like, my gosh, all of those 5 people mentioned that just smiling at each other would feel like a sense of teamwork. We can smile at each other. You're going to see themes, right? Do not boil the ocean. Look for themes. Focus on one of those. Finding people who are idle on the floor and asking them has been so eye-opening so far. I'm so glad you're doing that, Billy. You are taking charge by doing that, right? 5 minutes a day can make a tremendous difference. If you don't have 5 minutes, take a minute as you're walking by. Hilda, thank you for being here. Sorry, bye. I know, and we're over time. Billy, and that is coming from Jesse. We just sent out an engagement survey to ask for feedback, and one question was, would you like to be part of the culture committee? That's an awesome question to ask people. You can also invite them to do that as well. Chris, thanks for being here. And you can target people via texting them too. People love doing the text stuff, so you can throw it out via text. Try different things. We are on overtime. If you are watching this on record and you're not here with us live, by the way, for those of you who joined us live, we're going to pick 2 winners from, I got to go back and look at the 2 people that were on first. And we're going to pick 2 winners to get the prize of, we have conversation cards. If you're wondering, how do I start some of these conversations? We're going to mail you conversation cards. They're like a playing deck of cards that have conversation starters with them that you can ask team members. So we're going to mail those out to you. If you're watching this on record, do not fret. We always have your back. We're going to send you, we're going to pick 2 people. The first 2 people to watch the recording in full, we're going to send you conversation starter cards as well. If you're watching this on record and you want the answers to this month's question so you can get credit for CEs, you stay on. We're going to drop in the video from Tom Moon and I that we go over the answers to these questions together. By the way, if you're here live and you don't, and you want to watch that test questions, and Tom Moon actually adds some things to it. He adds some conversation to it. You're welcome to stay on, but if not, I completely understand. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you all that you've been here. Elizabeth, thanks for being here. Billy, thank you so much. Carla sent you to watch it and she's going to be watching the recording. Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Lisa. And stay on if you're on live. Fine to leave, but stay on if you want to see the questions that we're going to go over, and Tom actually adds a little bit of information to it as well. So let me start that, and I'm going to share that screen now. There we go.
So, the more you do it, though, the easier it becomes, the more sort of natural it becomes. As we wrap up our time together, so when they watch this, and people are watching it on recording, they have to take a little quiz. So I'm going to go through the 5-question quiz. I give them the answers because they're watching. And then if you have anything to add to any of these questions, I don't want to put you on the spot because I didn't give you the questions in advance with the to give me the answers. But a disengaged employee would likely say, 1, I love working here. 2, I want to tell all my friends to work here. 3, I don't know. 4, I can't wait to come back to work tomorrow. What would a disengaged employee say?
Disengaged. So that means they're not fully engaged. Yeah, they probably say, I don't know.
You got it. Number 3, I don't know. An engaged employee would likely say, I don't know. I don't really care. How can I support you? Is it time to go home?
Yeah, how can I support you? In fact, you had mentioned about, talking to people that get in and out about what they think of their job. The typical response, I met somebody new yesterday when I got my burger, and I said, how long you worked here? This will be my 3rd week. Do you like it here? I'd love it here. So kind of cool. So when somebody's engaged, big difference.
Yes, and you could feel it. You could see it. Managers and leaders can impact employee engagement. True or false?
Absolutely true.
Yeah, absolutely true. The percentage, and you might not know this one because it's so different in your organization. The percentage of employees that are actively engaged in an organization is between 0 and 10, between 30 and 40, between 70 and 80, between 90 and 100. And that's the percentage of employees that are actively engaged in an organization.
So what was the second one?
The second one was between 30 and 40.
I'd guess that, but it might be the lower one.
No, it's 30 and 40.
30 and 40.
So it's, I think it's 34 this year. In the past, it's been about 33. So it's eked up a little bit, but about 30.
That's scary. Yeah.
And that's what I say to people. It's like, think about looking around and saying 1 out of every 3 people is actively engaged, is making your organization better, your customer experience better.
Yeah, we can do better with our people. I think, but we've got a department in Baldwin Park that's our butchers, and there's probably 100 and maybe 50 people that work in that department.
Oh, wow.
And the average turnover for butchers in industry is 50%. in the last 15 years, we haven't lost one butcher.
Oh
Not-
my
not one.
God.
So there's been a couple retire, but nobody's been fired and nobody's quit. So, and they get paid okay, but it's not money. You know, if somebody feels part of something, and these guys do life together, you know,
Yeah.
if somebody's hurting, they all rally around and stuff. So, yeah. So
Well,
to get something like that, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah.
You know, I wish we had that across the company. We don't, but
Yeah.
you know, but that's good leadership that starts that. But it's hiring good people that keep that going.
Yes, both of those, the recruitment side and the retention side. Yeah, I'm shocked by two things. A, that stat, which is unbelievable. And B, I guess I never thought about it. I'm like, In-N-Out has butchers? Like, I just thought burgers fell into the sky, I guess. I don't know. Or you're planted them in a garden someplace. And our last question, to improve employee engagement, leaders must, 1, intentionally focus on improving culture, 2, fire all the people that are disengaged, 3, take more frequent vacations, 4, hire only older people.
Yeah, you have to be intentional about what you do. Yeah,
Focusing on that culture.
There's got to be a plan.
It's very intentional.
Hope is not a good strategy. So there
Yes,
needs to be a plan.
you know what, and that's what you know. A lot of what we talk about is the sense of being intentional with what you're doing. That's not just throwing it at the wall and hoping it sticks.
Yeah.
Tom, I can't thank you enough. I'm actually looking over too. I forgot I have this on my desk too.
Oh, nice.
All the swag you gave us
Yeah.
out there. Well, I can't thank you enough for your time today, for sharing the knowledge and gifts with this group. We really, really appreciate it. And I'm selfishly looking forward to going out to California in a couple months. I have a speaking gig out there and
cool.
Stopping by an In-N-Out. So thanks so much. And
Yeah, great seeing you, Denise.
all right, take care.
Take care. We'll see you.
All right. Well, thank you for being with me this month. I hope there was stuff that you learned that you can take away from this conversation. And the questions make all the difference, as you can see. So I really want to encourage you. As things come up, things that are frustrating you, drop a question into the Facebook group. You can pop it to my email, denise@cultureoutcomes.com, and I'll get it answered on our next month's live. I want to remind you too to join us for implementation hour. If you can do that, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or join us for the whole hour. We would love to have you, but it's a great time to have accountability for yourself, to work on the things that matter, but just keep on going on the back burner. As always, I love you for what you do. Thank you so much for what you do for your team and for the people that you serve. And I'll see you during our implementation hour.